Good people, good evening. It is another PRMD interview. I wanted to make sure I've been trying to make sure that all season we have been putting people in front of you all, making sure that we have been giving quality interviews. And we have come to a very pivotal moment where it is now time for us. I believe that we should have done this interview a few weeks ago, just on the timing of it. That we could have wished we could have got it back a few weeks ago, but the timing is perfect now. We are tonight going to be talking to Coach Jake Owens, and we're going to be talking to his quarterback. He'll be coming on a little bit later, Azion Sandy, and they are 8-3 right now. And we are going to deep dive into this conversation. So I'm going to bring Coach up. Coach, how you doing tonight?
Hey, what's going on, man? Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Man, I thank you for coming on. Man, y'all been doing some crazy work over there at Space Coast. So,
Yes, sir.
man, I don't know where to start. Back in the day, you were the wide receiver coach when I was at Space Coast. I wish I
That
could have
was a
stuck
long
around.
time ago. That was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago, but you've come a long way from that moment. And you're at Space Coast now. Last year, Space Coast won state in the independent class, but they only won one game. And so now what you guys have been doing this year has been a shock to everybody. I may say everybody outside of your locker room.
I was
But
about to say, not in our locker room.
what has been the message to your team to get them to kind of buy into what you all believe your vision was for the team?
Well, I think it starts back in February when they hired me, and you know, right away from the very beginning, the players, these guys, they were hungry, man. That it's been a rough, it's really been a rough 6 years since I left.
Right.
But these last couple of years obviously have been a rough time. So really, to be honest with you, man, it's just they bought in right away. We came in and we changed the culture right away. Obviously, I've been doing this a long time, and a big part of my success is making sure I surround myself with a great coaching staff, which I was able to do. Obviously, keeping a couple guys, some consistency from the other staff, guys like Kyle Davis, Ryan Starkey, and Liam Hinsman. Liam Hinsman played for me at Space Coast, and then hiring back some of my guys that helped me put together all those winning seasons at Space Coast before I stepped down, and Rennell Sandy and Derek Spivey. And then Derek Spivey, we hired on. He's been a great hire. He played for me at Space Coast. So, Darius and Liam both, they were with me when we were one of the top teams in this county for years. And so I didn't really have to push the message to my staff, because the majority of my staff, they knew my message from the beginning because they had been with me before, right? That consistency there. And then we were able to bring on Coach Wiggins too, who Coach Wiggins and I had, we had kind of, Wiggins and I had both kind of crossed paths. We never got a chance to work with each other. So it was awesome having him as well. And this is one of the most talented, best staffs that I've had in my career. And those guys, they helped me look good as well. So I want to give them some cred, and they do an outstanding job. And so once we put that staff together, the message was there. And right away from the get-go, when we started spring football, even when we did off-season workouts, the numbers were extremely high. And for one reason or another, I think maybe a lot of people, when I was hired, a lot of people knew who I was. Obviously, I feel like I have a pretty good reputation in this county, and I've had a lot of success, and I had a lot of success at Space Coast. So
Right.
I think, the families of the kids and, it's just one of those things. I had been there for so long, that. So
Right.
I think that and was a big part of it as well. And we just rebuilt the culture, and obviously, right away uh, we could see the dividends, because the kids were working hard. The attendance for workouts was absolutely excellent. I mean, this summer we had 40 to 50 kids a day, and
Right.
so we knew that we had a really good thing going. And we're going to talk about some of those players I know here in a little while, but they're just a talented group. They're resilient, and I love this group. They're just awesome, man. We have a good solid group of seniors that helped bring some leadership in, and some young guys that I know we're going to talk about that are not only talented but have played varsity football, these last couple of years, because of the situation
Right.
they had been in. So it just was a perfect storm of just great things happening all at once. And I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Just wait, because we're gonna be good. We're gonna be good for a long time.
Yeah, I expect that, honestly. So let's get into some of it. So you all, like I said, well, you went 1-10, 1-9, something like that last year.
Something like
But
that, yeah.
this year, things have turned around, and I feel like this might be one of the better records for the team that I remember. But you guys are putting it all together. You got Christian; he's a veteran leader for you. You got Chris; he's a veteran leader for you, and you guys are just getting to it. And so, did you expect so much success so fast, or did it become a little shock?
That's a good question. To be honest with you, that's my standard. Those are my expectations. I wasn't coming in to do a rebuild. I'm one of those guys. We're going to win right away. So for me, it wasn't a shock. I mean, I saw. Yeah, I've been doing this long enough to when you see those things happening in the off season, you got something great. And
Right.
as you said, our best record before was when I was head coach in 2013. We went 8-4. We were runner up to Cocoa that year, and went to the playoffs. And already we have now tied for the most wins in a single season. So we have a lot to play for these next couple games. Not only a 1A championship, but obviously, we're playing for a lot more, best record in school history, and a lot of other great things
Right.
that I'm excited that these seniors have this opportunity to leave a legacy. And we talk about that. You talked about Christian. You talked about Chris Veers. D. Parker is another one that
Yeah.
stepped in this year, and he's been a great leader for us. And obviously Brandon Wiggins and Damian Bowder, who had returned to us. Chris McDonald, who, by the way, right now is a leading rusher in Brevard County. Our running back, he's a senior. Another guy that has done a lot of great things. Cam Walker, who was a first-year guy who hadn't played football before and is leading the county in sacks right now. So, just a really great group of seniors that they've helped us, with this I don't know if you call it a transition from the old regime to now our regime. And again, like I told those guys, like they're going to leave a legacy. They're going to go down in the record books, and that group is going to be one of those big reasons why we have so much success here in the upcoming years as well. Like they have helped me build this thing in a short period of time. And like I said, man, this is not just a one-time thing. Trust me, this is going to be a year to year. People are going to remember Space Coast very quickly if they haven't already. And we had senior night last Friday night. We had 11 different players that were involved in a touchdown. 9 guys had touchdowns, and 6 of those guys were seniors. So we were able to do awesome things last Friday and get to reward some of those seniors too. So it was a great night.
And was that not the most points in school history last Friday?
It was. Yeah, we in 13 we scored 63 on Titusville, and we scored 63 on Poinciana that year. By the way, scored 60 plus on Titusville 2 years in a row. Just to throw that out there. But 63 was the record, so I'm gonna have to get you a new shirt because that is ugly. That shirt you got on, man, it looks like somebody threw up all over that thing, man.
I got you.
But yeah, man, we so 63 was a record. 68 is now. Man, we threw 7 touchdown passes Friday night. That is a single game record. Zion,
wow.
who you're going to have on the show a little bit later, our freshman quarterback, threw 5, which tied a single game record with the Space Coast great Nick Rittenhouse, my quarterback for 4 years in my old regime. So yeah, man, it was a great Friday night. It was a great night. It was a lot of fun.
Let's talk a little bit about Zion. So he could still be playing Little League football if he absolutely wanted to.
Crazy,
and
right?
So that's the crazy part. And so, like, did he come in and just he was ready, he bought in, and it just you couldn't have him on the sideline?
Listen, man. He's already a great quarterback. He is going to be one of the best this county has ever seen the next 4 years. But he's just a great of a kid. I mean, his demeanor is something that you can't coach. The way he carries himself, his character. He's a great student, but he is not phased. I've been doing this a long time. I've coached quarterbacks for a long time, and somebody his age to be that mature at that level where if he throws a touchdown, he's the same. If he throws a pick, he's the same. If there's a negative play, he's able to go to the next play, and that's really hard to find. That's hard to you can't coach that. And you know he's just what you would call like an old soul, right? He's just he's just so much older than what his age is, and you know he came in right away, and I could see the work ethic that he carried with him, and he wants to be great, and those kind of things as a coach you absolutely love. He's coachable, you know. So for me, coaching quarterbacks, being the quarterback coach, it's awesome to have him there. You know, I've had some great quarterbacks play for me, especially at Space Coast. Like the before mentioned Nick Rittenhouse, you know, he was an all-state quarterback for me. And Nick is another one. When I started coaching when he was a freshman, and he had the same demeanor, and that's when I knew. I was like, oh man, there's something special here. And Zai has been everything that we've asked. I mean, you know, he's made some mistakes, but you know, he's a freshman, and the good thing about it is, man, he learns right away when he does, and he doesn't make it again. And those are the kind of things that are awesome. I mean, he's got almost a 70% completion percentage, 1,100 yards, 14 touchdowns. You know, we still got more games to play. So he's just been outstanding. And like I said, he's even I mean, as far as a player and a student, he is outstanding. He just got athlete of the week at our school, and I know he's up for athlete of the week in the county too. He's just he's awesome, man. And again, like I said, I'm excited that he's a Viper, and I'm telling you right now, man, he's going to take this county by storm. Everybody is going to know who he is here the next couple of years. And he's just a great student athlete. I don't, you don't get those very often. You know what I mean?
All right. And so y'all are currently a part of the Independent League, SSAA. Is that the acronym for it?
Yeah, so the SSA is not independent. I think that's where a lot of people get confused. It's actually a sanctioned conference. So
Okay.
there are two sanctioned conferences in Florida: the FHSAA and the SSAA. And then you have the independent is separate from that. So the SSAA, we actually are a conference, and we're sanctioned, and there's rules, and we're separated from the independent and the FHSAA. Now, in saying that, obviously we played FHSAA teams and stuff, but when it comes to playoffs, it's all SSAA. And honestly, man, I didn't know anything. When I took the job, we were already part of it. Our schedule was already made, so I really didn't. I had to learn about it and do research about it, and that sort of thing. So, they do things a little bit different. Some things we really like. Some things I think still needs to be worked on. They need to kind of get the bugs out, so to speak. But I think there are people that have been very unhappy with the FHSAA, and it's going to be interesting to see how it progresses here the next couple of years. So as far as our future goes, we're just enjoying this year. We're going to see how it all kind of falls into place and kind of go from there.
Yeah, because I was just about to ask you, did y'all have plans to transition back to FHSAA or not? So I'm glad you answered that. So,
well, we can't jump into it next year because the FHSAA is on 2-year contract. So this was the first year of that. So it'll be more so after next year, kind of see where we are and what we need to do from there. So that's kind of the plan from there. But we don't want to go independent because you're not playing for anything. And I'm a competitor, man. If you're not playing for something, I don't understand. You know what I mean? I don't comprehend that. So we want an opportunity to be in the playoffs and play for something. So
I was told that y'all upcoming playoff opponent forfeited the game.
Yeah.
And so y'all may be putting a little fear inside of the people in the SSA.
Maybe a little bit. I think maybe they saw our last score and maybe thought differently about traveling a couple hours. I'm a competitor, man. You don't ever want to win by forfeit. I mean, that's not
right.
As a competitor, you don't want that. I mean, it's like I told our players, it's out of our control. We took the win, and we get a little mini bye week before our second round game. So it is what it is. Like I said, that's out of our control. But we were definitely not very happy because obviously it was a home game too. So you lose a home game as well. But it is what it is. We have no control. We took the W, and now we move on. So.
And so, who are you guys waiting on to win? Out of what opponents would you have potentially have next?
So Friday, Umatilla plays Coral Springs. So the winner of that will travel to us next week.
Okay.
And that's good. Yeah.
Okay. So tell us about some underrated guys. I know you have a team of underrated guys. But what do I know you have a hidden gem somewhere inside of that team? Maybe somebody you haven't mentioned yet, but we need to keep notice of.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, we talked about Azion. He is obviously one of those guys that everybody's going to know about if they don't already. But Yeah, I mean, I'll kind of go down a list if that's okay, because
All right.
we have. What I love about this team is I always have a chip on my shoulder. You know,
Right.
I from day one, I think that message, that kind of thing, it brings a lot of positivity, you know, into a program, because your players play kind of with a chip. You know, they kind of
Right.
they feed off of that, and we got a lot of guys. First of all, Chris McDonald, our starting running back. You know, he
Yeah.
has over 800 yards rushing, 6 touchdowns. Right now, he leads Brevard County in rushing. You know, I think by about 10 or 15 yards. But
Right.
you know, he's a kid last year that didn't get a lot of opportunity. I think he only maybe rushed for just under 200 yards last year, and you know, he's you know, we're trying to get him to 1,000 this year. We talked about I talked a little bit about D Parker. D Parker's been incredible for us this year. He has 1,000 total yards, 2 kickoff. He has 9 total touchdowns. He's our second leading receiver. We throw the ball a lot. I think in the article that BSN did this week, our trio of receivers is second to only Coco's leading the county. We got an incredible group of receivers.
Yeah.
So you have
That's not easy at all.
no, right? So D Parker again's got 9 total touchdowns, 1,000 total yards and return yards, rushing yards, and receiving. Caden Thomas is going to be one of those other guys that are going to be very well known in a very short period of time. He's a sophomore this year. He's our lead receiver, has over 600 yards receiving, 6 touchdowns. He also leads the county, I think, in interceptions. He's got 5 picks this year on defense. One of them was a pick 6.
Wow.
So he's special. He's special. So him and Zai are going to break a lot of records these next 3 years.
Right.
Brandon Wiggins has almost 400 yards receiving. He's second in the county in interceptions. He's got 4 picks. One was a pick 6 as well. He actually committed today, so he's our first senior to make his commitment announcement. So we're excited about that. Damian Bowder is our fourth. Another senior's got right around 200 yards receiving. So between our top 4 guys, I think total they're right around 1,600 total yards receiving, which is incredible, right?
Right.
And I told you, D also had 2 kickoff returns. Christian Burt, you mentioned him earlier. He has been an incredible addition to this team. He's our leading tackler. He's got over 80 tackles, 25 tackles for loss. He plays Mike linebacker, that middle linebacker position for us. He's all over the field, 3 sacks. He's also got a pick 6. He's also thrown for 600 yards and thrown for 5 touchdowns. He's rushed for about 300 as well. So he's just kind of been that Swiss Army knife for us. He's an outstanding football player. He's just like one of those guys that's just a football player. So I'm excited to see what opportunities he has. Our next 2 leading tacklers, Alex Banichowski, another guy that's returning from last year's team. He's one of our other middle linebackers. He's actually ranked in the state. He's one of the top middle linebackers in the state. 75 tackles, 19 tackles for loss, 4 forced fumbles. He's all over the field. He's like our quarterback on defense. EJ Klauser, who's one of our outside linebackers, 73 tackles, 24 tackles for loss, 6.5 sacks. This guy is only a sophomore. Him and Alex both will be back next year. EJ is another one of those guys who is just all over the field. He is an incredible football player. And we, again, at our offensive line, I got to give a shout out to those guys. They have been awesome this year. Chris Veers, our senior, he's our center. He is our only senior. The other 4 are all sophomores, believe it or
Wow.
not. We have four of our 5 offensive linemen are returning, and they are good. So from I'll go from left to right, but Bryson Gavin is our left tackle. He is a guy that played last year on varsity. Henry Holslander's our left guard. At right guard, we have Carter Quinlan, and at right tackle, Bo Story. Those 5 guys have been so impressive this year. Again, we've rushed for 1,500 yards, and they are a big part of that. Our offense has been, foot to the pedal. Again, we've thrown for 1,800 and we've rushed for like 16 or 15 or 1,600. So
Right.
you can't do all that, right? Azion can't throw for 1,200 yards and 14 touchdowns if he doesn't have those guys up front. Chris McDonald can't rush for 800 yards if those guys up front aren't doing what there's. And 4 of the 5 of them are returning, which is I've never had before. I mean, that is very, very exciting. But our defensive line, man, let me tell you, our defensive line has been huge. I don't know the total number of sacks, but I think it's right around 12, 14, 25, 28, 30. We've had over 40 sacks this year.
Wow.
Our defensive line has been, and Cameron Walker, a guy that I talked to you about, a senior, he leads the county in sacks. He's like top 20 in the state with 11.5 sacks, 21 tackles for loss. He has been a force up front. Cole Gamble, one of our other rush ends, he has three or 4 sacks. He is those 2 guys are almost unblockable, and Cole Gamble is only a junior, so he will be returning to us. So that defensive line has been a huge part of what we do. One of our other outside linebacker, Jacob Starkey, over 40 tackles, 11 tackles for loss. He's had 2 picks. He is only a junior. So the majority of we only have 9 seniors on this football team. And we have, I haven't even talked about some of the 8th graders and 9th graders. I mean,
I can't think of his name, but he plays D line. I call him Sap, but
Makai. Makai Joe. He is. I mean, we are so excited about him. He is. He's only an 8th grader, and he's an outstanding young man, and he's already the best shot putter for his age, I think. Maybe in the state. He is going to be very good for us for a long time as well. So we have another 8th grader, Chad Johnson, who's one of the fastest middle schoolers in the county. He is going to be special. But again, all those guys played with Azion, and so those guys are all connected, and they're the future of this program. And as a head coach, man, when you have guys like that you can build from, it's exciting. It's exciting to go to work every day, and that's how it is. That's how it is, man. We are the excitement and the momentum is just right now in our community, and I mean, our games are packed. They are packed, like the old days when I was there before. So it's just awesome to see. It's awesome to see because it's such a great community. Port St. John is such a great community. I mean, they have always had my back. They've always supported me, and that, I'll be honest with you, that was a big reason why I took this job again, was to give back to the community for all the support and love they had given me for my beginning of my career. They're the first school that gave me an opportunity to be a head coach. So for me to come back and be able to bring back the glory days of Space Coast football was a huge reason why I took this job.
And but we got a couple more, like two more questions before we got your quarterback in the waiting room already.
All
But
right. All
um,
right.
let's talk about a little bit about how the Kentucky experience was and coming back to Florida. I know Florida is one of the top, top states of football. But how was that experience in Kentucky for that moment that you were there?
It was good. It was good. Obviously, it was kind of a crazy experience, to be honest with
Right,
you. At the time, I was head coach at Palm Bay, and we had just finished a 9-4 season, and made it to the semis, and we had a lot of good things going. And honestly, man, I I had gotten other phone calls and stuff, but I was not going to leave Palm Bay.
right,
I loved it there. I loved the players. I loved everything that the same thing, man. I took over a 1-9 team, and my first year there, we won 5 games, I think. Second year, we go 9-4 and go all the way to the semis. So I had to rebuild that as well.
right,
And I loved it, and I put a lot of work into it. And but the opportunity to go up to Northern Kentucky, obviously you can see behind me, I'm a big Bengals fan as well.
right,
But there was other things that were involved in the decision. It was just a great opportunity. It really was. And you know, from the facilities up there, I mean, the campus was like a Division II college campus. I mean, it's there's a lot of money. They put a lot of money up there into the facilities, the field, and I had an indoor practice facility in high school,
wow,
right?
wow.
Yeah, an indoor field to
And what
practice
city
in.
was this in?
This was
What?
in Covington, Kentucky. It's in
Okay.
northern Kentucky. It's basically on the Ohio River. I could walk out my back door, and I could see my season ticket seats in the Bengal Stadium from
Wow.
from my back porch. So it's that close to Cincinnati.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just that. There was a lot of other things that were involved in the decision, and like I said, I mean, it was just a great opportunity, and
Right.
I it was tough, man. It was the toughest decision I have ever made in my entire career because I did not want to leave Palm Bay, but
Right.
it was the best decision for my family, and
Right.
and I felt like I had to make that move for my family, and we did. And I was there from, man, I think like the end of February. This was not last year, but the year before, because
20,
I
yeah,
didn't.
20.
Yeah, because I didn't coach last year.
Oh,
I was there from February all the way through almost through July. We had just finished up a 7-on-7 tournament in Southern Kentucky, and I got some news that there was a family situation back here, and all my family lives here, and I I'm family first, and
right.
it was tough, but my wife and I and my kids, we packed up and we came back to Florida. And I had to. When
Right.
it comes to family, there's no
Yeah.
decision to be made, right?
Right.
So we came back, and it was kind of one of those things where I didn't. So I came back. I didn't coach in the fall, but Space Coast hired me as a teacher. Uh, I was lucky a job had opened in July, which you don't ever hear about, but
Right.
um, but there was, it was a rough fall. I'll be honest with you. We still had to go up and get our stuff, and it was just there was a lot of stuff going on, a lot of
Right.
family stuff. And it was just kind of crazy, and through it all, my awesome administration, they supported me through all of it. And there was no talk of me coaching. There was none of that going on. It was just them trying to help, to help somebody that needed help. And I have such a great administration. Mr. Flora, our principal, he is top notch, and our athletic director, Steve Slintz, top notch. And so I wasn't even at the time, I wasn't even really thinking about what I was going to do. And then a couple months had passed in the fall, and I went home to my wife one day, like in beginning of October, I think. I was like, listen, I got to get back on the sidelines. I can't do this. It was, coaching is my passion. It's the reason why, I left radio and television, was because I wanted to be a head football coach, and I wanted to coach professionally. So I told my wife, I'm like, I gotta coach again. I gotta get back in it. So the Kentucky thing, it's one of those things where you're just, you know how it is. You have things that happen in your life, and you're like, why is this going on? There's got to be a reason. And I'm kind of waiting to see what jobs open up locally.
Right.
And there were a couple jobs open, and I had been contacted by a couple people. And, I'm very fortunate. Like I said, I feel like I have a good reputation in the county. So when people heard that I was back, there was definitely some interest. And, and then this job opened, and it was almost like, I think this is the reason. I think this is the reason that I was brought back here to bring this back for this community. And we talk about restoring the strike, but it's more than just that. It's about, the Space Coast was my heart and soul. I put a lot of years into the program, and these last 6 years, watching it decline the way it did, it was heartbreaking for me. Right. And it was like, man, this is the reason. This is the reason why. And, everything happens for a reason, man. And, and now I'm blessed. I'm blessed that I was brought back here, and I was able to, since I was brought back, I've lost both of my grandmothers, which was a very difficult time this past year. So, everything does happen for a reason, and not just to be with them, but to be back here at Space Coast and to have this opportunity. I'm just blessed, and I'm honored to be the head football coach again. And I'm gonna be staying for a long time. We're gonna build this thing into a powerhouse again.
Yes, sir. I believe in you, Coach. I definitely believe in you. I believe in what you all are building. One last question, and we're gonna get your quarterback up here. What message would you send to people that may not be believers? They may say, oh, they're just doing it because it's that level. I feel like winning is winning, and winning is hard regardless of where you do it and when you do it. So you guys are beating the people that you are supposed to beat, and you're beating them in convincing fashion. But what would that message be to those non-believers?
Well, you know me. I don't listen to a lot of the noise. You know what I mean? I really don't. I tell our guys all the time, like, let's just worry about what's in here, and I think a lot of our success comes from that. But they'll see, they'll find out, they'll find out. I don't do a lot of talking. I let the scoreboards and the wins and not just that, but a big part of my job is making sure that my players get an opportunity to play college football. And that's my other big passion, is making sure these kids get that opportunity. And I work year round to get these kids into college. And I've sent hundreds in my career. And, so they'll see the kids going to play college football. They'll see the wins. And, again, like you said, listen, man, if I've learned anything, it's hard to win at any level. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You line up against people. I mean, there's a lot of teams in this county, not to mention anyone in particular, but one of us is wearing their shirt that that set up a very easy schedule these last 2 years to get themselves back, right?
Right.
So there's a lot of people in this county that play teams that you could say are maybe at a different level. I didn't make this schedule.
Right.
I just lined up and played it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but for the non-believers, it is what it is. I mean, when I was here at Space Coast before, we beat everybody in this county. We beat Rockledge. We beat Orlando Jones. We beat all those teams when I was at Space Coast. And we still had non-believers, and we still beat them. We beat the non-believers. So I don't worry about all that, man. Listen, we're going to be doing some great things. I mean, already, obviously, we have. This year has been. I don't think anyone in this county has even come close to do what we have done this year. Again, this team, this group of young men that I've coached, this coaching staff, we started the season ranked 509 in the state. We are now at 379. We jumped 130 spots, and I have never heard of anybody doing that in my entire career.
Right.
We have already won more games than they have won, I think, the last 5 years combined. We've already done some great things, and we're going to continue to do that. And the people that don't believe in that, well, when the time comes, we'll get them on our schedule and we'll make them a believer, because that's the way you make people believer, right? You line up against them and you beat them, them. That's what we did before. That's what we'll do again.
All right, Coach, thank you for coming on. Thank you for taking the time to talk and letting us know about a lot of your players. Tell the people where they can find you on social media. I know you have a podcast as well. Tell them to shout that out as well. And we're going to get to your quarterback in a second.
Yes, you can find me on Twitter at Coach Jake Owens 9. I do a Cincinnati Bengals podcast a couple times a week. If you're a Bengals fan, check it out. It's called the Bengals Pulse. We're on Twitter at Bengals_Pulse9. Also, check us out, our Vipers Twitter page as well. We had to refresh it and redo it, so it is new this year. But you can, I'm going to pull it up now. Check us out at SCHS VIPER FB. So SCHS Viper FB. Check us out on Twitter as well. Let me just say this too, man. I absolutely love what you're doing. And, being a former player of mine, I am extremely proud to say that I coached you, and I'm just excited about. I think there needs to be more coverage of our county and the football that's going on in it, because people don't realize how good football is in Brevard County. To me, it's the best football in the state by county, and I just appreciate everything you do. So thank you, man. I appreciate it.
I definitely thank you, Coach. And like I said, thank you for coming on, man. And we'll be rooting for you from afar. So thank you again.
I appreciate it, man. Go Vipers. Thanks, man.
Yes, sir. Have a good one. So that was Coach Owens, Coach Jake Owens, head coach at Space Coast. We had him on, but now we are about to talk to the man with the plan, and that is his quarterback. He has been doing this thing. We always try to make sure that we spotlight good athletes in the county. And so we're going to talk to Azion Sandy. He's a freshman quarterback, and Coach Owens talked a little bit about him, but now we're going to bring him up so that we can get to know him. What's up, man?
What's up?
How's everything going?
It's going good.
Good, man. So let's talk a little bit about you. Cut your camera on if you can. But let's talk a little bit about how the season has been going for you, man. At the transition from little league to playing high school, not just playing high school, but you playing varsity, and nobody can discredit that. So, how has that been? How has that transition been for you?
The transition been good. I was overcome from Little League from because when in like spring, I was just going out there seeing like in 8th grade, seeing like how it went. It went good. I did good in the spring game. 3 touchdowns. Say about 136 yards. I did good,
Right.
so I just saw that and just took it and said I was ready for varsity football.
Right. And so, in the game pace, how much has the game pace? How much did the game pace change for you from going to 14U to now playing varsity? It was the game pace a lot faster for you.
Oh, it was a lot faster
And
because
when did you find yourself comfortable in that space at quarterback on the varsity level?
found myself comfortable like week 3. I knew like my guys they had my back and I could just sit in the pocket and throw throw to my teammates and they got me.
And how did before the season started, did you come out, did you write down some goals for yourself, like, oh, I want to have aspirations of doing this, that, and the third? And if you did, what did those goals look like?
Yeah, I set some goals for me. I wanted to throw at least for 1,000 yards, at least like 15 touchdowns this year, and I hit 1,000 yards. I almost hit 15 touchdowns. I have 14 right now.
Okay, so you right where you supposed to be, and right where you thought you would be. And so let's talk a little bit about you guys. You may be younger than your teammates, but you look like a fearless leader when I see you on all your game tape and whatnot. And so how did you go about getting the respect of your teammates? Because that doesn't always just come just because you're the quarterback. Sometimes you have to earn it. But how did you go about doing that?
Uh, they just they just respect me, who I am, and they didn't. They literally like let me into them into the team.
What advice would you give to someone who may be considering, like, maybe they could, like you, they could play little league again if they wanted to, but maybe they want to play varsity, or maybe they just want to play high school in general and they're kind of scared. What advice would you give to them about handling that process?
It's all about putting in work. Don't be scared. Just go out and do your thing. It's all a matter about mentality.
And right now, y'all are 8-3. Y'all have won the most games, tied for the most in school history. Y'all won the most in at least the last 5 years. And how does that feel on campus when y'all walking around campus and everybody is excited about the games? And Coach Owens talked about how everybody's coming out to the games now. How does that feel on Friday night when you trot out on the field?
Well, it feels good seeing all the fans in the crowd just cheering for us, hyping us up. It feels good.
Good. Yeah. And so, what are some of your teammates that you would want to spotlight today? Tell us a little bit about some of your guys. Maybe you got some receivers or someone you want to mention. Um, the floor is yours.
Mention Caden Thomas. He is a sophomore. He's a good receiver. Uh, if if I need like a big yard, I'll throw to him. He'll come down and get it. And also D Parker. He's very fast. Uh, he he cuts up like he does everything.
All right, man. And so, what are your plans for the off season? Do you plan to play on a 7-on-7 team or anything like that? Or are you just going to focus on like going to camps and things of that nature?
I'll focus on like 7-on-7, going to sometimes going to two different quarterback trainers throughout the summer.
Okay. Okay. Man, I'm excited that I got to get the chance to talk to you because you have been doing a lot, and your dad has made sure that he kept me in the loop on the information. Just because sometimes we can overlook Space Coast, and it's not intentionally. It's just something that happens sometimes. But now it's kind of hard for people to ignore what you all are doing. And Coach Owens and you guys are bought in, and I like what you guys are building over there, and I like the process that you all are going through. And I'm really excited to see what you all do as you go through the playoffs. So, man, you got a fan in me. If you don't have a fan nowhere else, I'm let you know you got a fan in me, man. We're going to be watching you, keeping up with your story. Because as a freshman with 1,100 yards, 14 touchdowns, that's not easy. I don't care who you playing or where you're playing. It's not easy. So, man, salute to you. I want to thank you for coming on. And I wish y'all all the best as y'all go through the rest of the season.
Thank you.
So we want to thank Coach Owens, and we want to thank his quarterback Azion Sandy for coming on. This was a great informative interview. We were able to talk about Space Coast, and Space Coast is near and dear to me because I went there for like 8th grade and 9th grade, and so I always like to make sure that I keep up with what they're doing and make sure that I always mention. I tell kids a lot that you should make sure that if you can, like if you're not getting playing time somewhere else, and you should be going to Space Coast. If you're one of those young kids that want to get developed, and maybe you are in the 7th and 8th grade, it gives you a good opportunity over there. So salute to Space Coast. I want to see them be successful. I think they're going to do well in the rest of their playoff run. And we have to make sure that we spotlight our sponsors. So shout out to All Around Extreme Handyman Services and Cedric Dreek Hawkins for being our season sponsors. We hope y'all have a wonderful evening, and we thank y'all for tuning in. Have a good one.